The twin suns of Aurora Prime rose slowly over the endless dunes, painting the desert in shades of gold and amber. Caleb adjusted his wide-brimmed hat and wiped the sweat from his brow. His farm was far from the main settlement. A patchwork of solar panels, water collectors, and genetically engineered crops. Most people in the colony called it Caleb's desert miracle, though he knew it was more luck than miracle. Today, he had a simple plan. Check on the new water filters he had installed the week before. The desert storms had been unpredictable lately, and without the filters, his crops would wilt under the harsh heat. As he climbed a small dune, he spotted a shimmer near the horizon. At first, he thought it was heat waves, but as he drew closer, he realized it was something or someone moving slowly across the sand. Curiosity pulled him forward. His boots sank slightly into the soft sand as he approached. There, half buried in the desert dunes, was a figure, a young woman. Her clothes marked with dust and heat stains, was struggling to rise. Caleb stopped a few meters away, careful not to startle her. "Hello?" he called, his voice calm. "Are you okay?" The woman's dark eyes snapped up at him, wary but not afraid. I think so," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "My name is Ayana." Caleb nodded. "I'm Caleb. Do you need water?" He reached into his pack and handed her a bottle. She accepted it cautiously, taking small sips before lowering the bottle. Ayana looked around confused. "Where am I?" "You're on Aurora Prime, near my farm," Caleb explained. "Are you from the colony?" Ayana shook her head. "I'm from the Apache colony. We were traveling. My group. We were separated during the storm." Her words were slow, careful, as if she was measuring each one. Caleb noticed the intricate patterns on her clothing and the symbols etched on her equipment. They were unlike anything he had seen before, an ancient style, mixed with technology far older than most colony devices. Caleb realized she was not just a lost traveler. She was someone unique. Someone with knowledge he had never encountered. And she was human, but not like any colonist he had met. "Do you need help walking?" Caleb asked gently. Ayana nodded. Her movements were graceful but weakened by the heat. Caleb supported her as they walked back toward his farm. The sun was rising higher now, making the air heavy and warm. She leaned slightly on him, not out of dependence, but as if she trusted him enough to share a small burden. As they walked, Caleb noticed her eyes scanning the landscape, analyzing it with precision. "You understand the desert well," he remarked. Ayana looked surprised. I was trained to read the land. To know water, plants, wind, everything," Caleb smiled. "Well, you might just save my farm one day. We could use someone like you." By the time they reached the farm, Caleb had set her down near the water collectors. "Here, you can rest. I'll bring you some food in a moment." Ayana sat on the edge of a dune platform, her eyes still examining the solar panels and water systems. "Your methods, they are different from my people's," she said thoughtfully. "And yours are different from ours," Caleb replied. "Maybe we can learn from each other." For the next few days, Caleb introduced Ayana to life on the farm. He showed her the drones that monitored the crops, the water filters that collected condensation from the humid desert nights, and the artificial soil enhancers that allowed plants to survive with minimal water. Ayana watched everything carefully, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. "You know," she said one afternoon, "your crops are clever. They survive where others would fail. But you could improve them." Caleb raised an eyebrow. "Improve? I thought they were already working well." "They work, yes. But they rely only on technology. My people, we use the land itself. We read the soil, the wind, the sun. We let the environment guide us. With your systems combined with our methods, your farm could flourish beyond your imagination." Caleb laughed. "That's ambitious." But inside, he felt a spark of hope. Maybe this was exactly what his farm needed. Over the next weeks, Caleb and Ayanna worked together. She taught him how to read the subtle signs of the desert, the patterns of sand ripples that hinted at underground water, the movements of desert birds that showed changes in weather, the subtle chemical signals in the soil that indicated which plants would grow best. Caleb shared his mechanical expertise, building small devices that could track these natural signs more efficiently. They complemented each other perfectly. Caleb's mechanical mind and Ayanna's natural intuition formed a partnership neither had expected. As they worked, their friendship deepened. They laughed over small mistakes, celebrated small successes, and slowly learned each other's ways of thinking. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned deep violet, Caleb and Ayanna sat on the dune ridge. Looking over the farm, the wind carried the faint hum of drones tending to the crops and the soft rustle of desert plants. "You've made this place more alive than I've ever seen," Ayanna said quietly. Caleb smiled. "I couldn't have done it without you." Ayanna turned to him, a small smile on her lips. "And I never imagined I would find a place like this. A place where I can belong. Even for a little while." The moment was quiet, filled with mutual respect and a shared sense of possibility. Neither needed to speak more. In the vastness of the desert, they had found something rare: understanding, trust, and the beginnings of friendship that could one day grow into something more. As night fell, Caleb guided Ayanna to a small shelter he had built. "You can rest here tonight," he said. "Tomorrow, we continue our work." Ayanna nodded, grateful. "Thank you, Caleb." Caleb watched her settle in, her silhouette framed against the soft glow of solar lamps. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. The desert was harsh, the colony unpredictable, and the challenges countless. But for the first time, he felt that with Ayanna's knowledge and his determination, they could face anything together. And as he looked up at the stars beginning to sparkle in the aurora prime sky, Caleb realized that this unlikely encounter had changed everything. Not just for his farm, but for both of them. In the vastness of the universe, two humans from different worlds had met, and together, they might just shape the future. The morning sun rose over Aurora Prime, spreading soft orange light across Caleb's farm. The desert winds whispered across the dunes, carrying faint scents of the newly growing crops. Caleb was already outside, checking the water collectors, when he noticed Ayanna walking slowly along the edge of the fields. She was examining the plants carefully, running her fingers across their leaves, bending slightly to touch the soil. Caleb watched for a moment. Fascinated, she moved with such precision and care, as if she could understand the language of every plant. "You're up early," he called. Ayanna looked up and smiled. "The sun tells me when to wake. The plants tell me when to start. I've always worked this way." Caleb laughed softly. "We humans have our machines to tell us everything. Sometimes I wish I could read the land like you do." "You can," she said simply. "You just need to listen." He raised an eyebrow. "Listen to the desert?" She nodded. "Yes. The wind, the sand, the movement of water, the clouds in the sky. Everything speaks, if you pay attention." Intrigued, Caleb decided that today they would begin a new experiment. Combining his technological methods with her ancestral knowledge, he set up a small drone to measure humidity levels, while Ayanna began marking areas where the soil felt different under her hands. As they worked, Caleb noticed how easily she adapted to his machines. She had never used a drone before, but her hands moved confidently over the controls, learning the patterns quickly. "You're a fast learner," he said. Ayanna tilted her head. "The land teaches quickly if you are patient. I am learning from you as well. Your tools are clever. They help us see what is invisible." Together, they created a system where the drone's measurements complemented Ayanna's intuition. Areas of the farm that seemed dry could actually hold moisture deeper in the soil. Crops that seemed weak under the harsh sun could thrive if planted in these zones. Caleb could feel excitement building inside him. For years, he had relied solely on technology, watching crops fail and succeed without fully understanding why. Now, with Ayana's guidance, the farm seemed alive in a way he had never seen. Every plant, every grain of soil, seemed to have a purpose. That evening, they took a break and sat on the dune ridge, looking at the sprawling farm below. The solar panels reflected the setting suns, creating a soft, golden shimmer across the land. "You have changed my perspective," Caleb admitted. "I always thought machines were the answer. But maybe there is something more." Ayana smiled. "Machines help. They can do many things humans cannot. But the land is alive. It has memory. It has wisdom. If we listen, it can teach us much more than any machine." Four. Caleb nodded slowly, thinking about the crops, the desert, the small successes of the day. "I think we could create something truly special here. Something the colony has never seen before." Ayana's eyes shone with excitement. "Yes, together, we can show them that humans can adapt, survive, and thrive, even in the harshest conditions." Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly. Caleb constructed small irrigation channels that could carry water directly to the plant's roots. Ayana taught him how to detect microcurrents in the soil, places where water naturally collected even under the hot sun. Using a combination of technology and intuition, they managed to make previously barren plots flourish. Caleb found himself fascinated by her knowledge. She could identify plant health with a glance, predict the movement of desert winds, and detect changes in soil chemistry without any instruments. Every day, he learned something new. And every day, the farm grew stronger. But Ayana was equally fascinated by him. She had grown up with a community that relied on traditional methods and careful observation of nature. Caleb's machines, his drones, and his solar panels seemed almost magical to her. "You humans are clever," she said one afternoon, watching a drone hover over a cluster of crops. Caleb grinned. "We try." Their teamwork drew attention from nearby colonists. People came to watch the farm grow in ways they had never seen. Crops that usually failed in the desert thrived, and water that seemed impossible to collect was now stored and used efficiently. Caleb and Ayana became known as innovators, blending the old and the new, the natural and the technological. One morning, a small group of colonists approached Caleb with a question. "How do you do it?" one of them asked. "Our farms are struggling, but yours seems alive." Caleb smiled and gestured toward Ayana. "We listen to the land. We use technology, yes. But we also observe. We work with what nature provides instead of trying to force it. And we learn from each other." Ayana added softly. "Humans are capable of great things when they respect the world around them. We are stronger together, combining knowledge, skill, and patience." The colonists exchanged glances. Some looked skeptical, but many nodded slowly, inspired by the possibilities. For the first time, Caleb felt that their work could change not just his farm, but the colony itself. As the days passed, Caleb noticed a change in himself. He had always been independent, used to working alone, relying on machines and routine. But working with Ayana had shown him the value of collaboration. It was not just about efficiency or success, it was about understanding, trust, and shared goals. Ayana, too, found herself changing. She had been cautious at first, wary of colonists and their ways. But Caleb treated her as an equal, valuing her knowledge and giving her space to teach and explore. She began to feel a sense of belonging, a rare feeling she had not experienced since leaving her original community. One afternoon, as they sat repairing a broken irrigation channel, a small desert creature scurried past. Ayana paused, observing it carefully. "Even the smallest life here matters," she said. "Every creature, every plant, they all have a role. Humans must remember that. We are not above them." End quote. Caleb nodded. "I think that's what I've been missing. I was so focused on survival, on making the farm work, that I forgot to see the bigger picture. You've helped me see it. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the farm. Caleb and Ayanna stood together, surveying the land they had nurtured. The crops swayed gently in the wind, the water channels gleamed under the fading light, and even the desert seemed less hostile, more welcoming. I think we are ready for the next step, Caleb said. The colony council is going to hear about our methods soon. If they adopt even part of what we've done, it could change everything. Ayanna smiled, but there was a hint of worry in her eyes. The council. They do not always listen. They like their routines, their machines, their rules. We must show them results they cannot ignore. Caleb reached out and lightly touched her shoulder. Then we will. Together. We've come this far, haven't we? Yes, Ayanna agreed, her eyes reflecting the twin suns' glow. Together. That night, as they rested under the stars, Caleb felt a deep sense of hope. Aurora Prime had been a harsh, lonely place for him. But now it felt alive, full of promise. With Ayanna by his side, he was no longer just a lone farmer, struggling against the desert. He was part of a team. A partnership that could change not just their lives, but the future of the colony. And as the twin moons rose high, casting silver light across the desert, Caleb knew that the bond they were forming was more than friendship. It was a partnership built on respect, knowledge, and a shared dream, a bond that might one day grow into something even greater. The sky over Aurora Prime was a deep shade of violet as Caleb checked the weather monitors. The twin suns had set hours ago, leaving a cool breeze that whispered across the dunes, but the monitors were showing unusual activity. Solar storms, stronger than anything Caleb had ever seen, were approaching the planet. He called Ayanna over. Look at this, he said, pointing to the readings. A massive solar storm is heading our way. It could affect the entire colony and destroy crops if we're not careful. Ayanna studied the monitors carefully. The storm is powerful, but not impossible to manage. If we adjust the farm's water systems and protect the crops, we can survive it. We just need to work quickly, Caleb nodded. I was afraid the council wouldn't take it seriously. They don't always trust my methods. And now, we have a real test. Together, they began planning. Caleb worked on reinforcing the protective shields around the crops, while Ayanna studied the natural landscape. She pointed out areas where the wind patterns would be weaker, where the solar energy could be absorbed without harming the plants. The land itself can protect us, she said. We only need to guide it. As they worked, other colonists came to help, curious about what Caleb and Ayanna were doing. Some brought additional materials, while others offered ideas. Caleb realized that their combined efforts were not just for survival. They were creating a demonstration of human adaptability and cooperation. Hours passed, and the storm drew closer. The skies turned a deep orange, then red, as the solar winds began to hit the planet's atmosphere. Drones buzzed over the fields, activating protective systems and monitoring the crops. Ayanna moved through the farm like a conductor, directing water flows, adjusting barriers, and guiding Caleb and the volunteers. You are amazing, Caleb said, catching his breath after adjusting a solar panel. I've never seen anyone work like this. Ayanna smiled but focused on the task. It is not just me. We are all working together. Humans are capable of more than they believe when they cooperate. Argan. 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 The storm intensified, and Caleb watched as the winds swirled around the farm. The shields glowed brightly, reflecting bursts of solar energy. Water channels rerouted themselves automatically, guided by the drones Caleb had programmed and the readings Ayanna provided. Every system, every plant, seemed to respond to the combination of technology and natural intuition. By the time the storm reached its peak, the farm was a carefully orchestrated harmony of human skill and environmental understanding. Drones hummed as they adjusted shields, channels, and sensors. Ayanna ran from one area to another, checking soil moisture and guiding the protective flow of water. Caleb worked alongside her, adjusting controls, fixing panels, and making quick decisions based on her insights. It was exhausting, but both of them felt a sense of purpose stronger than anything they had experienced. This was more than farming. This was a proof that humans, with creativity and respect for the natural world, could thrive even in the harshest conditions. Finally, after hours of intense work, the storm began to subside. The winds softened, the sky cleared slightly, and the glow of the twin moons illuminated the farm. Caleb and Ayanna surveyed the results. Every crop, every channel, every protective shield had held. The farm was intact. Even the areas they had thought most vulnerable were flourishing. A group of colonists approached, their expressions a mix of awe and admiration. "I've never seen anything like this," one of them said. "How did you do it?" Caleb smiled, exhausted but proud. "We worked together. We combined knowledge of technology with understanding of the land. Humans can solve challenges in ways machines alone cannot," Ayanna added, "and we listened. The land, the plants, the water, they all have wisdom. We only had to pay attention." The colonists nodded slowly. Some were still skeptical, but most were clearly inspired. Caleb felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this demonstration would change how the colony viewed their own limitations. Later that night, Caleb and Ayanna sat on the dune ridge, looking out over the farm. The solar shields still glowed faintly, a reminder of the storm they had survived together. "You were incredible today," Caleb said quietly. "I don't think I could have done this without you." Ayanna shook her head. "We did this together. Humans are capable of great things when we trust each other and respect what we cannot control." Caleb watched the stars reflect in her eyes. He realized that their partnership had grown beyond farming. It was trust, understanding, and mutual admiration. Every challenge they faced strengthened the bond between them. In the following days, the success of the farm began to spread through the colony. Caleb and Ayanna were invited to share their methods with other settlers. Workshops were organized where they demonstrated how to read the land, how to adjust technology to natural systems, and how collaboration could overcome even the harshest conditions. The colony council took notice. At first, they were cautious. But when they saw the thriving crops and the efficiency of Caleb and Ayanna's methods, they could not ignore it. "Perhaps there is value in combining traditional knowledge with technology," one council member admitted. "We should study their methods further." Ayanna smiled softly. "Humans learn best when they respect both the past and the future. The world is stronger when we combine both." Caleb felt proud. He had always known humans were capable of ingenuity, but seeing Ayanna's skills and working alongside her proved it in a way he could never have imagined. They were a team, and together, they had faced a challenge that could have destroyed everything, and instead, they had created something remarkable. One evening, after a long day of workshops and demonstrations, Caleb and Ayanna returned to the farm. The air was calm, and the desert was quiet, except for the soft hum of the drones. "You know," Caleb said, "today I realized something important. Humans are not just survivors. We are problem solvers. We adapt, we learn, and when we work together, there is nothing we cannot achieve." Ayanna nodded, her face lit by the soft glow of the solar panels. "Yes, and we must always remember to respect the world around us. Strength without understanding is not true strength." Caleb smiled. "I'm glad I met you, Ayanna. You've taught me more than I ever imagined." Ayanna's eyes softened. "And you've shown me that technology can be a friend, not a foe. That humans, with their machines and curiosity, can accomplish wonders." As the twin moons rose high above the desert, Caleb and Ayanna stood together, looking out over the thriving farm. The challenge of the solar storm had tested them, but it had also shown them the power of cooperation, innovation, and trust. In the vast, lonely desert of Aurora Prime, two humans from different worlds had come together. They had faced a challenge that could have destroyed everything, and had turned it into a triumph. And as they watched the moons reflect on the shimmering fields, Caleb knew that this was only the beginning. more challenges would come, more tests of skill, patience, and ingenuity. But with Ayanna by his side, he felt ready for anything. Together, they were a force the colony had never seen before, a living example of human potential, ingenuity, and the spirit of cooperation. The desert wind carried a soft promise. As long as they worked together, there was nothing they could not overcome. And in that moment, Caleb realized that the partnership he had found with Ayanna was more than just friendship. It was the start of something extraordinary, a union of minds, hearts, and dreams that could shape the future of the colony itself. The mornings on Aurora Prime had begun to feel brighter, almost alive. Ever since Caleb and Ayanna had successfully managed the solar storm, word of their achievements spread quickly through the colony, bringing curious visitors and cautious council members to the farm. Caleb was used to solitude, the endless desert, and the hum of his machines. But now, the farm had become a gathering place of ideas, questions, and admiration. Ayanna was busy tending to the crops, carefully observing each plant, while Caleb adjusted some newly installed solar shields. The hum of drones mixed with the rustle of desert leaves, creating a strange harmony of technology and nature. "You know," Ayanna said as she examined the soil near a new row of plants, "I never thought colonists would be so open to learning from someone like me. You have helped me gain their trust." Caleb wiped the sweat from his brow. "I think they were always ready to see results. You just made it clear what those results could be." Ayanna smiled. "And you made it possible to combine our knowledge. I never imagined technology and tradition could work so well together." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a small delegation from the colony council. They had come to inspect the farm personally, curious to see how Caleb and Ayanna's methods had survived the storm. "Good morning," one of the council members greeted. "We've heard reports of your work and wanted to see it for ourselves." Caleb stepped forward. "Welcome. Please, look around. You'll see the crops, the irrigation, the solar shields. Everything here is designed to survive and thrive in the desert." Ayanna guided the council through the farm, explaining her observations of the land, the water channels, and the combination of natural cues with technological tools. "We observed the soil, the wind, and the movement of water," she explained. "Then we combined that knowledge with Caleb's machines. The plants are thriving because we work with nature, not against it." The council members nodded, some taking notes while others examined the plants with careful scrutiny. It was clear they had not expected the farm to look so healthy, nor to operate so efficiently. "This is impressive," one council member admitted. "Your collaboration demonstrates what humans are truly capable of: adapting, learning, and using their minds creatively." Caleb felt a surge of pride, but he knew the real credit belonged to both of them. He glanced at Ayanna, who gave him a small, appreciative smile. As the council left, Caleb turned to Ayanna. "They're impressed. Maybe now they'll consider applying some of these methods across the colony." Ayanna nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps, but we must remember, it is not about showing off. It is about teaching them to observe, to think, and to respect the land." The results speak louder than words. Their work continued over the next several weeks. Colonists began visiting more regularly, some bringing seeds, others offering ideas for improvements. Caleb and Ayanna taught workshops, demonstrating how to read the land, how to combine technology with natural cues, and how teamwork could overcome even the harshest conditions. Through these workshops, Caleb noticed a change in Ayanna. She had always been cautious around strangers, but now she spoke confidently, guiding groups of colonists with patience and insight. She explained concepts of soil patterns, wind flow, and water retention with clarity, while Caleb demonstrated how machines could monitor and assist these processes. One afternoon, while they were repairing a section of irrigation that had worn from constant use, Ayanna paused and looked at Caleb. "I've been thinking," she said softly. "Humans are capable of incredible ingenuity, but sometimes we forget to share it. We compete instead of cooperating." Caleb nodded. "I know what you mean, but seeing how the colony responds now, maybe we can change that." Show them that cooperation leads to better results than competition. Ayanna smiled. Yes. And perhaps, in sharing knowledge, we can inspire others to think creatively, not just follow instructions. Caleb realized she was right. Their farm had become more than a place to grow crops. It had become a symbol of human potential, a place where innovation, respect, and teamwork came together to create something extraordinary. That evening, as the twin moons rose above the desert, Caleb and Ayanna sat on the dune ridge, enjoying a quiet moment together. The farm below them glowed faintly under the soft moonlight, a testament to their hard work and vision. "You know," Caleb said, "I never imagined I would find someone who complements my skills so perfectly. You think of things I would never notice, and you understand the land in a way I cannot." Ayanna turned to him, her eyes reflecting the moon's light. "And you've shown me how technology can expand what I can do. Together, we make a strong team." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, feeling the warmth of trust and shared accomplishment. Caleb realized that their partnership had grown deeper than friendship. It was a connection built on mutual respect, admiration, and understanding. The next day brought another challenge, though of a different kind. A young colonist approached, carrying a problem that had baffled her community. "Our crops are failing," she said nervously. "We don't understand why. Can you help us?" Caleb and Ayanna exchanged a glance. "Of course," Caleb said. "Let's take a look." Ayanna knelt beside the plants, running her fingers through the soil. She observed the leaves, the water channels, and the sunlight patterns. "The soil here is missing nutrients that the plants need," she explained, "and the irrigation is uneven. But if we adjust it and plant some companion crops to restore the soil, the crops can recover." Caleb helped her set up small water channels and demonstrated how to use simple devices to monitor moisture levels. They taught the young colonist how to observe the plants, the soil, and the weather to anticipate problems before they grew serious. By the end of the day, the young colonist was smiling. "Thank you," she said. "I feel like I understand the land now, and I can help my people." Ayanna nodded. "That is the goal. Humans grow stronger when we share knowledge. It is not just about surviving, it is about learning and helping each other thrive." Caleb felt a deep satisfaction. Each success, each small improvement in the colony, reinforced the truth he had always believed. Humans were capable of incredible things when they combined intelligence, respect, and teamwork. As weeks passed, the farm continued to flourish. Colonists began experimenting with Caleb and Ayanna's methods, creating hybrid farms that combined technology and natural observation. The Colony Council, once skeptical, now consulted them regularly. Caleb and Ayanna became recognized leaders, not because of authority, but because of the respect they had earned through skill, patience, and guidance. One afternoon, as they were inspecting a new irrigation system, Caleb paused and looked at Ayanna. "I never imagined this," he said quietly. "From the moment I found you in the desert, I thought you needed my help. But now, I see how much I've learned from you. You've changed everything." Ayanna smiled softly. "And you've taught me that humans can use their tools wisely, that we can solve problems we once thought impossible. Together, we make each other stronger." Caleb felt a warmth in his chest he had never experienced before. It was not just pride or happiness, it was a deep sense of connection. He realized that their partnership had grown into something extraordinary. They were not just friends or collaborators, they were a team in every sense, supporting and inspiring each other. That evening, as the twin moons cast silver light across the desert, Caleb and Ayanna sat side by side, watching the farm shimmer below. The desert, once harsh and unforgiving, now felt welcoming, alive, and full of promise. "We've come far," Caleb said. "Yes," Ayanna agreed, "but there is still so much to do. The colony is learning, and we must continue to guide them. Humans are capable of great things, but we must always remember to respect the land and each other." Caleb reached for her hand, a small gesture of connection that spoke volumes. "I'm glad we're doing this together." Ayana squeezed his hand gently. As am I. Together, we can accomplish more than either of us could alone. And as they watched the desert stretch out under the twin moons, Caleb realized that their partnership had become a symbol not just of human ingenuity, but of what humans could achieve when they respected, learned from, and trusted one another. The future was full of possibilities, challenges, and discoveries. But Caleb and Ayana knew that, together, they could face anything. Their bond, forged in the desert and strengthened through cooperation and understanding, was unbreakable. And as the colony looked to the thriving farm for guidance, it became clear that Caleb and Ayana were more than just farmers. They were pioneers, leaders, and living proof of the human spirit at its best. Aurora Prime glowed under the light of its twin suns, the desert stretching endlessly into the horizon. Caleb walked along the edge of his farm, watching as drones hovered above the crops, and small water channels reflected the sunlight like ribbons of silver. The farm was thriving in a way he had never imagined possible. Yet, more than the crops, it was the sense of possibility, of life, that filled the desert now. Ayana approached, carrying a small crate of seedlings. She moved with her usual grace, her eyes scanning the land, noting even the tiniest changes in soil moisture. Caleb noticed the faint smile that played on her lips as she approached him. "We've come far," Caleb said softly. Watching her, Ayana set down the crate and nodded. "Yes. From the first day in the desert to now, everything has grown, not just the crops, but the colony itself. The people are learning. They are starting to see what humans can accomplish when we work together." Caleb smiled. "And it all started with an unlikely encounter. Who would have thought that finding you in the desert would change everything?" Ayana laughed lightly. "Sometimes, the universe brings people together for reasons we cannot predict. Perhaps it was meant to be." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of colonists. They carried small gifts, seeds, tools, and handmade items. One of the council members, accompanied by other settlers, stepped forward. "Caleb, Ayana," the council member said, "we have come to recognize your work. The farm, your methods, and your teaching have transformed our understanding of Aurora Prime. The colony has never seen anything like it." Caleb and Ayana exchanged a glance, both feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "You have shown us that humans are capable of incredible ingenuity," the council member continued. "By combining observation, respect for nature, and technology, you have not only survived, but helped the colony thrive. For that, we are grateful." Ayana stepped forward. "The credit does not belong to one person alone. Humans achieve more when they work together, listen, and respect the land. This is what we have shown, and I hope it continues." The council member nodded. "It will. Your work will serve as a model for the entire colony, and we hope you will continue to guide us." After the ceremony, the colonists lingered, asking questions, taking notes, and offering ideas for expansion. Caleb and Ayana spent the day demonstrating new irrigation systems, showing how to combine soil reading with mechanical sensors, and teaching colonists to observe patterns in the desert winds. As the day ended, Caleb and Ayana walked together along the dune ridge. The desert was quiet, the hum of drones fading with the fading light of the twin suns. "You know," Caleb said, "I never thought I would find someone who understands me so completely. You see the world in ways I could never imagine." Ayana looked at him, her dark eyes reflecting the sun's glow. "And you have shown me that technology, when used wisely, can expand our capabilities. Together, we are stronger than we would be alone." Caleb felt a warmth in his chest. "Stronger, and perhaps happier too." Ayana smiled softly, a quiet acknowledgement of the bond they had formed. Over months of working together, teaching, learning, and facing challenges side by side, their partnership had grown deeper than either had expected. It was built on trust, respect, and a shared vision for the future. The following weeks were filled with planning. The council requested Caleb and Ayana's guidance for new settlements, desert farms, and sustainable water systems. Colonists began implementing hybrid methods across Aurora Prime, blending machines and natural observation to create thriving communities. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the desert, Caleb and Ayana sat on their dune ridge, looking over the farm and the surrounding lands. "The colony is changing," Caleb said. "All because of what we started here." Ayana nodded. "Yes, but the most important change is how humans think. They are learning to observe, to adapt, and to cooperate. That is more valuable than any crop or technology." Caleb reached for her hand, feeling the connection that had grown between them. "Ayana, I've realized something over these months. We've built more than a farm. We've built a partnership, a bond that I don't want to end. I want us to continue this. Together." Ayana turned to him, her eyes softening. "Caleb, I feel the same. From the first moment we met, I trusted you. And now, I cannot imagine facing the future without you by my side." Caleb smiled, feeling a sense of joy he had never known. "Then let's do it. Not just as colleagues or friends, but as partners in every sense." Ayana nodded, her smile radiant in the moonlight. "Yes, together, we can achieve anything." The next morning, the farm was alive with activity. Colonists, inspired by Caleb and Ayana's work, were implementing new planting methods and water systems. Caleb and Ayana guided them, offering advice and encouragement, yet always allowing the settlers to take the initiative. During a break, Caleb looked at Ayana planting seedlings with her usual care. "Do you remember the first day we met?" he asked. Ayana laughed softly. "How could I forget? You found me in the desert, alone, and offered water. I thought humans were strange, but that moment showed me kindness exists, even in harsh places. And now look at us," Caleb said. "From that meeting to this thriving farm, and a whole colony learning from us. It's incredible." Ayana paused and looked at the horizon. "It is. And it is only the beginning. The colony has so much potential. Humans can do anything when they work together. And when they respect the world around them." Caleb nodded. "I'm glad we get to be part of that future. Together." Weeks turned into months, and Caleb and Ayana's farm became a hub of innovation. Settlers traveled from distant parts of Aurora Prime to learn, to observe, and to implement their methods. The desert, once harsh and unwelcoming, became a place of possibility and hope. As the season changed, Caleb and Ayana found more time to reflect on their journey. They would walk the dunes, observing the wind patterns and the plants, discussing new ideas and improvements, and in these quiet moments, their bond deepened. It was not only about work, it was about shared dreams, respect, and the joy of being understood. One evening, under the twin moons, Caleb turned to Ayana. "I have a question for you," he said, his voice gentle. Ayana looked at him curiously. "What is it?" Caleb took a deep breath. "Will you continue this journey with me? Not just as my partner in the farm or the colony, but in life." Ayana's eyes softened, and a smile spread across her face. "Yes, Caleb. I will. I can think of no greater adventure than facing the future with you." Caleb felt a joy he had never known. They embraced, not in haste, but with the quiet certainty of shared purpose and mutual respect. In the desert of Aurora Prime, amidst thriving crops, glowing water channels, and the hum of drones, two humans had found more than success, they had found each other. The colony, inspired by their methods and partnership, began a new era of growth. Humans combined technology with natural wisdom, learning to thrive in ways they had never imagined. And through it all, Caleb and Ayana remained at the heart of the transformation, guiding, teaching, and building together. Years later, their farm was legendary. Settlers spoke of the two who had turned a barren desert into a thriving oasis. Not through force, but through ingenuity, cooperation, and respect. Children learned from them, inspired to innovate, explore, and work together. The colony itself prospered, a living testament to the potential of humans when they trusted one another. And through it all, Caleb and Ayana's bond grew stronger. They had begun as strangers, met under unlikely circumstances, and faced challenges that could have broken them. But instead, they had built something enduring, a partnership, a home, and a legacy. Under the twin suns of Aurora Prime, standing on the ridge above their thriving farm, Caleb and Ayana knew that the future was theirs to shape. Together, they had proven that humans could overcome any challenge, adapt to any environment, and create a world filled with possibility. And as the moons rose and the desert glimmered with life, Caleb whispered to Ayana, "This is only the beginning." Ayana smiled, resting her hand in his. "Yes. Together, there is nothing we cannot achieve." The desert, once harsh and lonely, now sang with life, hope, and promise. And in the heart of it, two humans stood side by side, partners, innovators, and pioneers, shaping the future with their hearts, minds, and unwavering spirit.